Do you want feminine, soft, supple skin where you feel like your skin and your energy totally aligns? That is what I want for you. I want you to have your best feminine energy looking skin. As many of you know, I recently endured a house fire and I actually suffered some skin damage as well as emotional and just feeling dehydrated. Something really wrong was going on with my skin, and I had so many things going on. And I'm so grateful to have as a guest on my channel Dr. Jennifer Haley. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, Adrienne. So good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Now, we are friends. We have done your podcast episode. You've been on my channel before. And I was so grateful to have you to reach out to when my skin was suffering, and actually suffering more than I was really aware of. Because prior, even to my house fire, I had been having a lot of dryness due to menopause, just aging, that loss of estrogen in my skin, and not knowing how to get my moisture back. So I'm going to tell everyone what happened really briefly. Is that, 2:30 in the morning, woke up, we're having a house fire. My husband was able to get us all out of the house. And I didn't know how big the fire was. And I went around to the right side of my house and I had the garden hose and I was trying to spray off the porch. And at 2:30 in the morning, like, I don't know if it's like the adrenaline, my pain receptors maybe weren't working, but I ended up getting scorched. And you can still see just a little bit of pink in my skin because I got scorched. My arm hair was gone. I got scorched on my face. I don't know how my hair survived, but this fire was so hot, it actually killed all my shrubs and my plants that were like several feet from the house. It got much worse. But, I'm out there with my hose and I'm starting to feel the heat. And then the fire trucks show up and they're like, get out of there. So here I am, I'm emotionally going through all of this stuff and I'm looking at my skin. I have no makeup, I have no lotion. I have nothing but the little nightgown that was on my back when I left the house. I wasn't even wearing like underwear. I had no shoes, no socks. And I have to be very honest, I was blown away by how nightmarish my skin looked to me. Like, it was just like flakes on top of flakes, and I would smile and it would just be crepiness and tightness all over. So I reached out to Jen, good friend of mine, and I said, look, here's what's going on. What has happened to me? And so this is where you take over and tell them how I got back to my little plump, smooth skin that feels normal now. When I'm smiling, it's not feeling like I'm breaking through like frozen ice or something. So tell them what you suggested, and then we also have some products to share with you all that we're going to link below. So if you're in a similar situation and you need some help with your skin, we have got so much help for you regarding this.
Yeah, so when we look at our skin is amazing because it's a barrier to protect our inside from the outside. And there's environmental toxins on the outside all the time, whether it's UV radiation or smog or fire, in your case, with all of the components of the fire, which is really an extreme form. So we need to have a healthy skin barrier to protect us from the outside world. And what does an unhealthy skin barrier look like? It looks like dry, cracked skin or dermatitis, inflammation, and basically that dryness. So if you imagine bricks and mortar, that's what our skin cells look like. And when there's a breakdown of the bricks and mortar, it sort of crumbles and falls apart. And
Uh-huh.
then when there's some sort of a toxin or an irritant or an allergen, that's when we get a dermatitis. So you
Mhm.
were experiencing like all of those all at once.
Yeah.
And yeah, but a lot of people are experiencing that at lower levels through
Mhm.
hormone changes, through the seasons. So our skin changes with the environment. And I see a lot of changes in the winter basically because the environment gets drier, the heat gets turned on in our house, and the humidity drops. There's wind outside that tears up the skin. So we want to
Mhm.
focus before applying a bunch of chemicals to our face to focus on rebuilding the skin barrier.
The skin barrier, just to ask a quick question, you said that's almost like the brick and mortar. It's like, and I think of that as being like rough and hard, but you mean brick and mortar more in terms of like something's protecting your skin to keep the suppleness of what's underneath, right?
Exactly. It's like a
Okay.
cohesive barrier. So it's tight, almost like pieces of a puzzle. We want our skin to be tight pieces of a puzzle. So anything that breaks up and loosens those tight adhesive molecules is going to allow irritants and allergens to get in the skin. So
Mm-hmm.
also allow like the hydration that's in our skin to evaporate. So
Oh,
if you look
I
at
see.
burn victims, they don't die of a burn, they die of an infection and dehydration
Yes,
because microbes, bacteria, organisms can get in
can
and they
get in.
can't keep
Yes.
water in their body.
Now that we understand a little bit more about that barrier, what happens when the barrier gets broken down, um, how does aging break down that barrier, or does aging or loss of estrogen or progesterone, does that break down that barrier as well?
It does. And I have this concept called skin syncing, and it involves adjusting your life and your skincare with the seasons. Because as we mentioned, winter, you're going to be drier, but there's also the seasons of our life and even the
Mm.
seasons of our menstrual cycle, called our infradian rhythm. So there's certain times of your menstrual cycle you'll be more dry. It's the first week of your bleed week. There's certain times of your life you'll be more dry. And anytime there's low estrogen, we're going to have more dryness in our skin and less plump collagen. So I'm a big fan of supplementing or estrogen replacement, hormone replacement therapy.
Mhm.
And for people that can't do that systemically, there's good research showing that topical estrogen to the skin isn't
Yeah.
absorbed by the body and it can be started perimenopausally. So like I'm 53, but I'm still cycling, so I will use topical estrogen because I'm not quite
Mhm.
ready for systemic. And I happen to have had breast cancer and they use topical estrogen
Yeah.
to help the supple, help with the hydration. And
Yeah.
there's tips and tricks that we did with your skin that everyone can
Yes.
utilize.
Yes, and I should let everybody know that I started going through menopause a little bit on the early side. And sometime during the early part of the pandemic, I started having hot flashes and just I remember running into a lady at Whole Foods and I could see her getting like a bright red. And I said, "Oh my God, are you having a flash?" And she goes, "Yes, they're driving me crazy." And I'm taking like Cohosh or something for it. And I could just tell how much she was suffering, like sweat was just dripping down her. And I was like, "Why are you suffering?" She's like, "Well, hormones give women cancer." And they do that. And I was like, "That study is so outdated." But I started using bioidentical, and we'll save it for another episode, but also a bioidentical face cream. But I use the bioidentical cream and the oral progesterone. So I'm so glad to hear you touch on that. Because you can start, from what you're saying, you can start that estrogen a little bit earlier to the skin when you're in perimenopause. Oh my gosh.
Perimenopause can start as early as 35, really, and you can go 15 years in perimenopause. So there's you can tell when someone has low estrogen in their skin. I can tell.
Wow.
So there's wrinkles that are formed from muscle movements, like the frown lines between the
Mhm.
eyes, right? And that is something that people will do Botox for. What low estrogen looks like in the skin, have you ever had a balloon and from a birthday party or something, and then
Yeah.
it gets left in the corner behind the couch and you forget about it for a couple of weeks, and then you find tons of little crinkles in it?
I really think that's part of what I was going through because I would just smile and I would be like, where's all this coming from? It would be like multiple lines. And it's like, if you smile now, like I have a little bit of that, but I mean, it was taking up my whole
Right.
face. My whole face.
Mhm.
It was the most bizarre, and especially on my left side. So let's talk about how I got my moisture barrier back. Because again, I want to tell everyone I had gotten some really nice creams and lotions, and I kept putting them on and putting them on, and nothing. It's like they wouldn't even sink in, or it's like I think I wrote you and I said, I've got this alpha lipotic acid. I think, is that what it's called? Alpha lipotic acid?
think it was alpha lipoic acid, if I
Lipoic,
recall. I don't know.
sorry.
I'd have to
Okay, I
say
want
it.
to pronounce it
Maybe,
right.
maybe. Yeah. There's so many complicated things out there, but you needed simple because we just
But I
needed to
was
feel the
putting
skin
it
barrier.
on and it was just disappearing. And I would put
Mhm.
it on and it was like nothing was happening. So let's start with this. This was the first thing that you recommended, which is I had never ever heard of this brand. It's
La
La Roche
Roche Posay.
Posay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like that one, and I also like this one. This is a mineral spray. So the nice thing about La Roche Posay is these mineral water sprays, they have prebiotics and probiotics in them.
Ah.
Helps heal the skin barrier with food for your good bacteria. So anyone who wants a hack to hydrate their skin, I like them to spritz their face, just do like a nice spritz. And
Mm-hmm.
while your skin is moist, put your moisturizer on
Ah,
and
okay.
keep it in. And if you're going out that night and you want to look like you have a red carpet glow, I'll
Mm-hmm.
have people take some hyaluronic acid moisturizer, spritz, and put
Uh-huh.
some on your brow bone and their cheek, and
Ooh,
it will
nice.
give you a little bit of a glow that lasts about 12 hours.
That's what I was using. I was using pure hyaluronic acid on my face, and my face was like
It was
just
soaking
drinking it
wet.
up. So when I started using this, I think you had wanted me to get the mineral spray at first, and then you were glad I got the B5. It's called Cicaplast.
Yes.
Soothing, repairing concentrate helps repair skin barrier, 24 hydration, instantly smooth. And I want to tell you, when it says instantly smooth, it isn't joking. And I found out you can use this with infants. You can use this on the elderly, people who like you can't really reach the space or what have you. You can spray it and it'll just absorb naturally. I think of people who need to do their back, can't get to it, or even elderly, or the feet and ankles. It might be difficult too, or if you're just not that flexible. But I've taken this and I'll just sort of mist a little bit on my hand and like tap it in if I need like a little boost. And it seems like the mineral spray would be better for that, but this is
No,
pretty
that's a great
amazing.
product. Yeah, the B5 is pantothenic acid and it's very calming and soothing. So I think, it's great for anyone who's struggling with dermatitis or dry skin. What I like though is I like applying that and then sealing it in with something.
Okay,
And
so let's talk about the sealer.
I
The
want to just
sealing of
touch
the
on
deal.
Let me touch on hyaluronic acid really quick because
Yes.
hyaluronic acid is in everything. But the way hyaluronic acid works is it holds in water about 1,000 times its weight in water.
Wow.
So if you put it on your skin when your skin's dry, this is what you were doing. It's
Okay.
unless there's over 85% humidity in the outside environment, it's not going to draw water in from the environment. So what
Okay.
it will do is draw the water in from the deep layers of your
Oh
skin,
no.
bring you out further, like was happening to you.
Yes.
So you want
Yes.
to apply water, like mineral water, or be freshly washed, and then seal it in with
And
a
then put
hyaluronic
it on.
acid and maybe a moisturizer.
Because off topic, I also, well, on topic, but not a product. I also got a humidifier. I got a wonderful humidifier
Great.
that I keep very, very clean because I will get a cough. If I don't clean that thing about every 4 or 5 days, it gives me a cough. And then my mom actually shared this tip with me. You get like a little aluminum baking trays, the disposable ones at the grocery store. And, they're like maybe $1. You fill them up with water and you place them over your vents if you have vents in your floor. And I'm not responsible if anybody's pet drinks out of that or not, because you know how pets can be. My cat's found it
Yeah.
more than once, but I will wake up in the morning and that pan will be bone dry. And I'm just blown away at how much the winter just zaps us of moisture. So this makes so much sense, Jen. It really does. I was actually dehydrating my skin and using a really expensive product in the process.
Right. Yeah. I mean, our skin is always trying to find homeostasis with the outside environment. So we want to support it in that process by compensating in the winter when it's drier or when your skin's compromised from a burn. And your burn was probably worse than you even realized at the time because you were in adrenaline mode. It's the time when moms
Yeah.
can move cars to get their
Yes.
children out of the car.
Let me tell
So
you. Yeah. Yeah,
You
I
want to
somehow
feel
jumped.
safe.
My husband and I somehow jumped, 8-foot tall fences in our backyard with my dog and my cat. I mean, it's crazy what you do. And I know so many people. I mean, I don't know how often people's homes burn down, but I know like California is really suffering right now. So I hope anyone who hears this, whether it's a fire or stress from a breakup or your job or anything, this has been an amazing product. And the mineral spray, I cannot wait to get my hands on some mineral spray.
So I would say if your skin is compromised with a dermatitis or you're struggling with inflammation, go with the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast moisturizing spray. And if you're just on maintenance mode where you want to add more hydration to your skin, even if you're prone to acne breakouts, but you want more hydration, that's when I'd go for the La Roche-Posay thermal spring water.
So
And
that's more of like an everyday.
exactly. And it helps
Oh,
balance the microbiome on your skin and support healthy microbiome, whether you're dealing with acne or whether you're just a little bit dry or have mature skin.
because that's another thing you taught me is I didn't know we had probiotics or any of that. I thought it was just my stomach. So it's everywhere. It's just so cool. And I will tell you that I have this weird dryness. I think a lot of people do. They get it on their shins in the winter. And I just missed a little bit of this on before I go to bed. I'm a very low maintenance person and it's so comfortable. I haven't had that gross, scaly alligator skin that I normally get. So let's talk about how we sealed this beautiful stuff in.
Let me talk about that what you're just describing. That's called asteatotic eczema. And
Oh,
we have no oil glands in our lower legs. So two tips. One is don't use soap there. We don't
okay.
use soap on our legs because that foaming action draws out the natural oils from our skin. The second
Mm.
is to make sure you have good fats in your diet, like wild fish, like a salmon and olive oil and like omega 3s are all really good to
Like
have. And
walnuts and flax seeds and
very,
okay.
yeah, excellent. Because that will help you have a bilipid membrane. So when the skin is dehydrated, we need more healthy fats, not seed oils, not canola or soybean
Okay.
oil or vegetable oils. We need the healthy, non-inflammatory fats in our diet. And the other thing is when you're shaving, shave with a cheap conditioner because that
Oh,
will help not dry out the skin, unlike a shaving gel or soap, which a lot of people
okay.
do. So that's the trick.
Okay, so hair conditioner, yeah, because hair conditioner is really slippery and I can see that shaving would yeah, okay, this is awesome. I would imagine shaving might also help take off some of that dead skin just a little bit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then you get out and you do your trick with the spray and what you're going to show us next. Yeah.
Okay, let's look at this. This stuff is so cool. I am really is it Theraplex? Am I saying that correctly?
Yep.
Okay, so Theraplex, it says emollient for severely dry skin. And it says I got the thicker feel, but they did have it in some different because I was using when I contacted Jen, I was like, I was using straight up Aquaphor on my face. Aquaphor is like, what is that, petroleum jelly?
Yeah. And
Or
it's not bad. I mean, it's not bad, but you have to have the hydration first. The other thing about Aquaphor, it has lanolin in it, and a lot of people develop an allergy to it.
yes, and that happened too because I started getting these red speckly, and you told me you're like you're probably getting an allergy to it. So it was like everything you were saying was exactly what I was going through. It's like you
Yeah.
knew.
You're not alone. You're not alone, Adrienne.
So tell
I've
us
been
about this awesome. I love how this feels. It's somewhere between the texture is somewhere between like I don't know if you ever get like when you get a facial, they do the massage portion of your face with like something like this, but this is like I don't know how to say it. It almost feels like it sticks to you somehow. Like I don't how do I describe what's happening? Unlike
so
unlike a massage cream. Tell us about it.
yeah, and when they first came out with that, gosh, it must have been 20 years ago when I first discovered Theraplex, and they called it the melting moisturizer. And what I used it for, because I used to run marathons then, was like friction. When you have
Okay.
friction, so it's not like it feels heavy and occlusive. It kind of moisturizes, but it also protects. So it's not really something that I would use every single day as a moisturizer on my face. I'd use it in anywhere there's compromised skin or for short periods of
Yes.
time. Great for
Yeah.
the back hands before you go to sleep at night, if you wash your hands a lot and have dry skin during the day,
Mhm.
I'd take a little spray first and then I'd apply it to the back of the hands, and
Okay.
you can wear gloves if you want. Um, it's also good on your legs after you spray. I think that would be nice. I can find that it's a little occlusive if you're prone to acne. I wouldn't necessarily use it on the face on a
Okay,
daily.
it's interesting you'd say that because I've switched from like just I mean like getting it really on there. And I mean I can't begin to even my chest. You can tell I'm still a little pink. But you know how when you sleep on your side, you get the little crinkles? My crinkles weren't going away in the morning. Like, they were staying. And I know at some point I'm probably going to get crinkles that'll stay. But this
Maybe,
was
maybe not.
new. Maybe not. You're right. But I noticed when I put this on, um, I did start to get a little bit of what seemed like a different type of acne than what I normally get. And so I
Mhm.
said, okay, I'm just going to put it on the places like the apples of my cheek. My hair would want to stick to it. So I was totally, tying my hair back up at night, and I would try to just sleep on my back and just let as much as the product could do what it needed to do. And I don't know if this is right or not, but I also sandwiched it. I did the spray, I did this, and then I did the spray again sometimes.
That's great.
Is
Yeah,
that
that's
okay?
great. Yeah, and what we would use for healing is different from what we use for maintenance. So I like that kind of an occlusive moisturizer for healing, whether it's post-procedure or a wound or a burn or
Mhm.
dermatitis. And then once the skin barrier is healed, I back off and use more of a hyaluronic acid or a ceramide-based moisturizer or a humectant moisturizer, which basically holds in water without being occluding, because when you're occluding, you're sometimes blocking the pores and you can get little blackheads and whiteheads.
Okay, okay. So interesting. Now
That the company makes also this other product I really like, Theraplex. It's an exfoliating emollient and it smells like
mm,
peppermint. And I love it for
ooh.
feet. Like I put it on my feet when I'm wearing socks and it helps take off some of the dead skin and the calluses from, hiking and wear and tear.
So you
So
would just use it like in the shower or
no, I use it during the day. Like I'll use it during the day if I go for a hike and if I'm wearing socks, basically.
I
If I'm
see.
wearing socks, I
So
won't.
it's like almost like a mask that you put on, and then later when you take it off, the skin will slough off.
Yeah, or I'll, do the scraper. It has
Okay.
salicylic acid in it, which is an exfoliant. It's what we
Mhm.
use for warts to take warts off the
Yes.
skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, salicylic is like been around for a long time, and it does what it's supposed to do without a lot of chemical reaction. So
Yeah, it's from the willow tree, which is the same tree as aspirin, so it's anti-inflammatory as well.
amazing, amazing. We're always learning so much more. I've heard of even some off the record, but even some cancer treatments are being treated with salicylic acid. They're
Mhm.
finding like there's something even in that. So sometimes the simpler solution is the best solution.
Nature has all the answers. Is you just want to listen.
So true. So here I was back to my journey, slowly getting my skin looking normal. I will tell you, there were a few days that if someone would have knocked on my door, you know that scene in Mrs. Doubtfire? Do you know that movie
Yes.
at all? Where I know I'm going way back for you guys, but there's it's
Hoffman.
where Robin Williams doesn't have on his makeup like the woman, and he just dips his face in meringue and comes up to make it look like he had on a facial mask to hide his
Yes,
beard.
yes, yes.
So if someone would have come knocking on my door, I had so much of this on for a while because I was just I just could not believe how my skin looked. But I will say less is more. Like I didn't get any better results by using more than just by using like the normal amount.
Hmm.
Just for anyone who's interested, it didn't really seem like slathering it on in a ton was really helping me at all. Although it did also heal my chapped lips as well. So
Absolutely. I put it on every night before bed, and if you could spritz with the mineral water and then apply it before bed, or if you're inflamed, you can use the Cicaplast one. I don't have any problem with using that near the mouth or near the eyes, just not in the eyes or mouth. They have to
okay. Okay.
now
Cause I definitely put it like all here. Cause I was also even here. I was suddenly like in my 90s. I couldn't believe it. And my husband even said to me, he said, "Why do you have all those lines on your lip?" And I was shocked. I was like, "How dare you? Like, that's a natural part of aging. That's how I speak and make words, you know?" But it was just, my skin was so tight that any expression would just show lines. So I want to talk a little bit about this because this was a bonus product.
That's another Cicaplast product. It's
Now,
very
what
good.
does cicaplast mean?
I don't know. It's a branded ingredient from La Roche-Posay, and it's just excellent at healing. I mean, as dermatologists, we use it all the time it's
Oh,
great for all sorts of healing. It's a coined term. It's a coined term by La Roche-Posay. It's not actually anything but a made-up word from La Roche-Posay.
I
Yet
see.
it's an
I
amazing
see.
ingredient for healing.
So it says in here that it has dimethicone, which
Mhm.
is that like a silicone?
Yeah, it's a great protectant. So if you're going outside and you're exposed to the wind, for instance, you want to apply
Hmm.
something with dimethicone as a protectant. It's sort of like it won't let anything out, but it also won't let anything in. So you
Hmm.
don't want to apply it and then apply a vitamin C or an active ingredient because it's not going
Because
to
it just won't
penetrate.
go
It's
in.
a protect.
And
Mhm.
let me tell you, I noticed that because once I was going out of the house again, I could not wear this out of the house. My makeup would just like sort of sit on top of it. Sorry, I dropped this. So I switched to this SPF 50. It is a mineral sunscreen, correct?
Yeah,
And
I only want people to use mineral sunscreens with zinc oxide as the main ingredient, and SPF 30 or higher is going to protect you from 98% of the UV radiation.
that includes our cell phones.
I don't know if it protects us from EMF, unfortunately.
I mean, you taught me that the blue lights from our cell phones.
The blue light. And the blue light is not necessarily protected from zinc oxide. You want to look for a tinted sunscreen containing iron oxide.
Iron
So tint,
oxide.
that one doesn't have iron oxide in it.
You're right.
Don't
It says shea butter, vitamin B5. Although I had heard that B vitamin can block out
little bit,
radiation.
especially niacinamide can help with inflammation and the DNA damage from the sun. So that's a B3 or
Okay.
niacinamide. I love niacinamide in products.
Well, I just want to say this stuff is just amazing. I got it because I was so depressed. I needed sunlight every day. I It's the winter time and I knew my body was just craving sunlight and I would sit out on my back porch and I would just roll my pants legs up, but I would have this on my face and my arms. You know how, which is something else you taught me, is to get sunlight on our bodies every day, but not the face and the arms and the chest and the hands. And I wore my little sunscreen gloves, but I was getting it on those shins. Let me tell you, the
And the
shins.
torso. Yeah, the
Yeah, and I
torso.
pull. Sometimes I would do a little abdomen, but it is a mineral. So I notice when I put it on, I need to start working it in quickly so I don't end up looking like the ghost of Christmas past, right? Where you
I
have that like white veil. So you can see how I kind of worked that in. And I don't know if you can tell the difference between my hands, but
looks
it
good.
it really does. It puts like a little bit of a pearl sheen to your skin without that like white ghost of Christmas past look that mineral sunscreens can do sometimes. So I really love this product. It might not be my summertime product because it's a little heavy, but it's a
Mhm.
great wintertime product.
Yeah. There's so many great tinted sunscreens out there. I can do a demo of a number of them. for people, but I mean, that's all I have on my face is tinted sunscreen, and it kind of blends everything together, and it protects from the blue light and it protects from the UV pretty well, depending on how thickly you apply it. And
Mhm.
it even covers up like some brown spots on the back of the hands. So
Oh,
whatever we do on our face, take the leftover in your hands and sweep the back of your hands so you age at the same rate in all areas and treat this whole area as your face.
yes, indeed. And that's the I love every time I speak with you, I'm like learning something new. So we'll have to have you back and we'll just do a whole tinted sunscreen session. I'm sure everyone would want to know, especially with spring and summer coming around,
Mhm.
like what your options are, blending options. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the last product that I got from La Roche-Posay. I will say I did not get Theraplex from La Roche-Posay. That is a Theraplex product, but just so worth it. This one is just. I've also been putting it on my feet really thickly at night and putting on my socks.
And
And
you
I
could do
wake
one too, the Theraplex with the emolliating
I
exfoliant.
gotta get that next.
Yeah, we'll
I
get
gotta get that next.
definitely.
So my on with my journey of recovering from my house fire and all the stress and trauma, I was finally able to go back to the gym and swim. It's a saltwater pool and swim and work out. And I noticed in the mirror something I had not seen since I was maybe age 14, 15 years old. And I had these red little dots on the back of my arm. And they were also on my kneecaps. What are those little red dots called?
They're called keratosis pilaris, and that basically means like bumpy thick skin in Latin. And they're common. About 40% of people have them on the back of their hands to some degree, but they can get worse or better depending on a lot of things. Internally, your hydration status, and you were losing a lot of water
Yes.
trying to heal, and how many healthy fats you have in your diet. There's some evidence with vitamin A status as well, because
Hmm.
we don't eat organ meats. Let's just be honest here, and organ meats have
True.
vitamin A in them.
Yeah.
So I always try to get people to make sure they have enough like variety of foods and healthy diet to begin with, and then supplement with some omega-3 fatty acids. But
Mhm.
topically, there's a number of things you can do, like salicylic acid and urea, to help
Mhm.
exfoliate and hydrate at the same time. And I think that has urea in it. Can you
It
tell?
does. It has actually 10% urea. I can show
Perfect.
everyone up close. It has 10% urea. And I had used some sort of special lotion. I believe it was prescription um, for that when I was much younger, teenage years going through that. And I remember it burned so bad when I put it on. Like if I got out of the shower or, even if I waited 10 minutes to cool down, it would just be like red hot. This, I feel nothing. Somehow hydrates me. It helps my skin instantly. It's almost like overnight it started to go away, but without any sensitivity. And I am a sensitive skin girl. I mean, this is just amazing. What makes that happen where it doesn't like eat away at your skin, because it's an acid? Well, how does this work that way?
Yeah, so that the urea is not an acid. So there are three main ingredients that we use for the keratosis pilaris. And the first being salicylic acid. There can be different salicylic acids that you can use to apply topically to the area in about 5 to 10%. They're hard to find formulations of. The second one, which I think you used, was probably something called amlactin, and that probably
Yes.
has lactic acid in it.
And lactin.
Yep, and the lactic acid definitely burns. I experience the same discomfort, almost where you have pins and needles and you want to scratch your skin and then it burns.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
horrible feeling. Yes, and it helps exfoliate and hydrate at the same time. And this La Roche-Posay product with Lipicar, it has a nice, elegant formulation and 10% urea added to it. And urea is a humectant, which means it draws in water and draws in hydration to hydrate those little bumps and help them slough off at the same time.
It's
So it doesn't
amazing.
have to go through the burning phase. So it's really elegant. I like it and it works.
Elegant is such a good word because I didn't feel that like I gotta get that feeling, that pumpkin enzyme mask feeling. We all know what that feels like.
Right?
So, another question: what is allantoin?
I'm not that familiar with allantoin. I know it's a calming ingredient. It's usually paired with green tea. I think I
Well,
call it allantoin. I think I call it
oh, sorry,
allantoin. No, that's
allantoin.
okay.
I'm
There's
gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna mess up all the words. That's, but
that's
I've seen this word in a lot of my really kind of pricier skincare. And I mean, it's up there in the ingredients list. So, as is like, is it rapeseed oil, shea butter, and I always thought of shea butter as being something that would clog my pores.
Mhm.
I can't use any of those Olay body washes or anything like that. It'll break my skin out. But this is not doing that. And I also sometimes get like sort of like this rough, bumpy skin on the
It's
back
the
of
same.
my. Yeah, okay.
It's the same thing. So allantoin is basically, I'm looking it up, so bear with me because dermatologists aren't the best with specific ingredients. So it's an organic compound found in plants, animals, and bacteria, and it's a good for exfoliation while also being a humectant like the urea, and it can help stimulate collagen and elastin, which is really, really like who doesn't want that, right?
Oh, it's
So it's
so
anti-inflammatory, it
nice.
reduces irritation. Yeah, I suspect that the formulation is very well done by a cosmetic chemist who has the active ingredients of urea, which can be very sticky. And then they've added other things that are kind of calming and hydrating at the same time to make it a nice formulation. I love it. It's great. It works all the time.
Exactly, nothing sticky about this product at all. I mean, unbelievable. This is going to be my everyday body moisturizer. Even though it says flaky, rough, bumpy skin body, I feel like I could use this on my whole body if I needed to regularly or just a few times a week.
Absolutely. And you want to maximize the benefits of using it. You want to do it immediately after you exit the shower while your skin is a little bit moist. So even if you do it that way and you do it 3 times a week, you're going to get more benefits than you if you apply it to dry skin every single day.
Okay, I'm a little dry right now, but it just feels so good. The texture, I have to say, La Roche-Posay, they get the
I love
texture. They get the texture. They really, really get that texture down. Like they're geniuses. That has to be part of their, like you said, the chemist. They're great at this. I had never used these products before, never knew of them, never heard of them. And they've given me, like my skin back. It's been
Yeah.
amazing. I'll also share, like, just random. I hope it's not TMI. I had this little rough circle on my elbow for I would say around 20 years. Would never go away. Just this one little patch. And I was wondering, like, am I propping myself on my elbow? Am I giving myself a callus somehow? But it was like about right here. And it's just it's gone away. It's just completely gone away. Do you know what that was? I don't think I've ever seen a
I kind of
dermatologist.
struggle. I struggle with it too. Yeah, I struggle with it too. And it's friction. It's almost like you imagine you have a pair of poor fitting shoes and you get a
Mhm,
callus.
mhm.
Anywhere we have consistent motion, whether we, rub ourselves or we lean on something, we're going to develop extra skin cells to protect that area. So I bet that's what it was. And
But
it
it's
just
such a
goes to
little
show you
thing, and it's been 20 years. I mean, it's less than the size of a dime, and I was just like, "What is this?" It just would never go away. I would always feel it when I put on my lotion at night. Well, it's not with me anymore. It's gone. So I love
that's
all of
good.
these products. I love all of these products. So you have been so helpful, and you have been so helpful to me, helping me get my skin back. Definitely, I aged. You hear people say stuff like, "I aged 10 years in one day." I know what they're speaking about now because it was a combination of dehydration. Something happens when you breathe in smoke. We got out of the house before it was too smoky, but when we were in the ambulance, our mouths were so dry and cottony, we couldn't even say our names to the ambulance workers. You have to give me your name, your address, and all. We couldn't even make sentences. And by the grace of God, I had like some power mix with me in my medicine bag, which I happened to grab with my dog on the way out the door. I grabbed my, my bag of medicine, and I think it's Cure Hydration, that powder. And we were able to put just a little bit in our mouth, and my dog's mouth, the cat's mouth, so we could just salivate. And so I know, and like even now I'm having like a psychosomatic, I like start like, I remember that thirst. I mean, it was like nothing
Yeah.
else. And then on top of that, where did we have to go stay? We had to stay at a hotel. I didn't have a kitchen. I was having to eat like takeout food, and it was just so dehydrating. So, and on top of all the trauma. So I am just, again, Jen, thank you so much. I really encourage everyone, listen to your podcast. Follow you on Instagram. Do you want to tell us where everyone can find you, and just what you're up to these days in general?
Sure, 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 sure. Sure. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm at Dr. Jen Haley, DrJenHaley. And I'm creating an educational platform for a skincare company called Moon and Skin, which now that your skin's healed, will give you some of that. And I'm just at a point where it's important for me to, as we were talking beforehand, to educate people, to empower them to make the right decisions for themselves, and to have the knowledge that they need to take care of themselves from the inside out, as opposed to have to like get the answers from someone else. Like, information is power, and we all deserve to be our own powerful energy force.
Well, I can't thank you enough. Now, is there anything else you would like to share with us about skincare or skincare routine, or any of the products that you've shared with us today? Is there anything else that you would like to have just some closing words about?
Sure. Yeah. So, what we talked about today worked for you. At the end of the day, there's so much information out there. I would like people to learn how to become attuned to yourself. If you apply something to your skin and it burns you, even though the influencer out there is saying it does magical things, it's not right for you. So we have to learn to listen to our skin. And the other thing I'm really passionate about is the fact that our skin is dynamic. It's forever changing, and we want to adjust our lifestyle with our skin and the environment. Whether we are 20, 30, 40, 50, and beyond, we need to adjust things through the seasons of our life, through the seasons of the year, depending on where we're living. I'm in Arizona. It's so dry here. I need to add so much hydration to my skin. If I go to California, I don't. I'm more hydrated. And also with the seasons of our menstrual cycle, our infradian rhythm. So that's what I'm passionate about teaching about, because we're not static. The same thing day in and day out doesn't work. So
True.
that's where I educate everyone on. But just
I
remember
love that.
intuitively for yourself what works.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for reminding us to feminine energy is all about being in your body, knowing what you feel, what feels good or right to you, finding something that works for you and feels in alignment. So thank you so much for sharing that message, and thank you so much for just being part of our lives and helping us and helping me with this especially. I really appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. You're welcome. Always, always.
And Dr. Jen is great at asking questions. If you have anything you want to post in the comments, you can post in this video below. We'll see if she can't get around to asking, or save it for next time when we do another video together. That would be great.
And my podcast is called Radiance Revealed. Adrienne's been a guest and she's going to be a guest again. So,
Yes. Radiance Revealed. We had a great time. We'll have to post that episode in the links below as well. We'll post that for you all so you can find it easily.
thank you.
All right, Jen, thanks for joining me.
Bye.